Hey guys, Evan over here, back with another video, and today we're going to be reviewing the Ultraman Sparkdoll Antlar figure. Now, similar to many other past videos where I've reviewed Sparkdolls, I've made the mistake of mispronouncing their name. So in this case, since I've actually just figured out the name of this kaiju, even though I've had this figure for a while, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. I just feel like if it were to be pronounced Antler, that wouldn't sound right, so I'm going to pronounce it Antlar. So anyways, first things first, this figure is clearly, I really feel like it stands out in a good way to other Sparkdolls, and I'm going to explain why. So first things first, the first pro I have to say with this figure that I just really feel like is the best thing is the paint job. That is right, I feel like the paint job is phenomenal on this figure. Now yes, the general color throughout the figure is the gray. It's not a mixed gray, it's just a pure gray. But it's the shades of colors throughout the figure that really give it a really nice paint job. The yellow here mixed in with the gray is really clear, it's really nice, it's really good. I also really love how on the claws it turns red rather than gray. It gets to become similar to this. Either a very dark purple, or I guess as dark as you can go with the red. I think it's more of a dark purple. But you have the same thing with the hand claws and the feet claws right here. Same thing. So it gets gray as it goes down, you know, it gets further down to the claws. And one of the most fantastic, unfortunately it's not so noticeable, but one of the most fantastic pieces of articulation on this is in the back, or the paint job is in the back with this color. I just really feel like it's, even though I can't really say it's a good thing on the design, because we're talking about the figure, not the design here, just the way that they managed to, paint on this bluish greenish color in the back was really well done. I also like how there's some blue shades even after it's done with the main circle around here. And like I said, in the center, just pure green. So that really looks really good. I just like how it's a booming color with this dark gray, and then it all of a sudden gets to become a light blue, a light green. It's really it's interesting for me. And so and also the white eyes, they're pretty cool too. There's no paint scuffs on this figure, by the way. At least not any that are noticeable. So that being said, let's move on to the next thing about what I liked about this figure. So the next thing I like about this figure is the detail. Yes, that's right, the detail on this figure, in my opinion, was very close to being just as good as the paint job, but I ended up going with the paint job. But either way, detail is still definitely above average, and I'm going to explain why. Detail on this. So in my opinion, when it comes to detail on this figure, you see it through a lot of body parts. I really like the scales made here, not just on the legs, but on the arms too. Just these leathery scales are really nice. I also like the detail made in the gut with the yellow color, how it has so many lines and layers. That's also really cool. Facial detail is pretty average, but I must say the detail on the claws actually have a nice effect with these lines here. They make it look more claw-like. And I feel like you also see that in the back a little bit. You see some lines are really what make up good detail. If you see a lot of lines that are kind of implemented into the plastic or whatever material, it just goes to show that the detail was really good. So you can see like lines here on the back, these layers as well. Just the detail on this in general is really nice. I really do like this. So, although facial detail might not be amazing, everything else in terms of detail is amazing, which is why this is definitely slightly above average. So, let's move on to the next thing I like about this figure. Now, you might be surprised that I'm giving it as a pro, giving articulation as a pro to a Sparkdoll, since I've always said that Sparkdolls don't have enough joints of articulation, and I get they're small figures, but they have so many joints that they could have added on. But in this case, it has more than the typical 3 joints. That's right, most Sparkdolls have just 3 joints. It usually always comes down to the tail and the 2 arms, but in this case, it's way more. So you have the 2 arms, which do not go 360, by the way. And then you also have the head right here. Really cool. I like. See, that's what they also should do with Sparkdolls with clear head, with clear joints. They should have the heads move. You have the waist, which does not go 360, but does move from side to side. And I guess it's 4 joints then, which is I'm giving it ever so slightly above average. Average would be 3 joints like the typical Sparkdoll. But in this case, it's 4, so it's not 3, so it's ever so slightly above average. But hey, it definitely makes it as a fair and decent pro, and I'm glad that they use the opportunity to add this as per articulation, you know, add more articulation to it. I guess one extra thing in terms of articulation I would add is that the claws could move. That'd be cool, similar to how King Crab could move with its claws, and it'd be cool to see if this could move. So I really feel like that could, I wish that was the case. But you have the weight, like you have the waist, like I said, 2 arms, and then the head. So let's move on to the cons about this figure. So I have 2 cons. Both of them are nitpicks, so they are going to bring down the rate, but to the point where it's actually a very good rate, not a bad rate. But yes, they will bring it down like any other nitpick or flaw. First flaw I have to say about this figure is, in my opinion, you might not see it because I've managed to balance it quite well on this particular occasion, but I feel like a lot of the body is leaning so much forward that it gets a little bit trouble standing. You can see it leans a little bit too much, and in most cases it could fall. I mean, trust me, it looks like it can stand fine in the review. I don't know how it's managed to go this far, but usually it kind of, you know, falls forward. Okay, I did that with my fingers. I know it didn't really count, but it technically falls forward because of the weight in the front. So that's one nitpick, and a final nitpick before I just declare the rate would be that the arms don't go 360. It's a small nitpick, yes, I know, but I feel like it's enough of a nitpick to just, you know, use against it, because I feel like they could have made a little bit more space for the arms so they could be separated from the head, because as you can see, you know, this head is in the way from a lot of the thing. And I don't want to even bother to make it too much, because then the arm could have a joint issue. So I'm trying here just to be reasonable with it, but I wish it could go perfectly 360, not with a stiff attitude or anything like that. But either way, that nitpick is even small. See, now this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. It's falling forward about the original nitpick I gave it. But like I said, going back to what I was saying, that nitpick wasn't that much of an issue. But it's enough of an issue to, you know, ever so slightly lower the rate. So in general, I'm going to rate this figure a 9.3 out of 10. That is very, very good for a Spark Doll, and although I actually don't know much of the kaiju itself, I would recommend you get this if you're an Ultraman fan, a Spark Doll collector, whatever you might be, because, you know, these things are nice to have. They're cool to have, they're fun to have, and they're just a nice addition to your collection. So, like I said, 9.3 out of 10, do recommend getting this. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys later, and bye-bye.